year is actually a leap year, so let's celebrate that extra day in February by looking at some Kickstarter Pickstarters for the week of February 24th, 2020.
Kicking things off with an RPG-inspired dungeon crawl game called Stormsunder: Heirs of Ruin. This is coming from Lazy Squire Games, and similar to other games in the genre like Gloomhaven and Midara, and Oathsworn, things that we've seen on Kickstarter numerous times before, you're going to be teaming up with your friends, taking on the different roles, races, factions, and classes with their own special cards and weapons you can unlock, traveling through different dungeons, and also reading a story from a campaign book. A couple of things that they're trying to make this game stand out a little bit. The combat system, I think, is interesting. The way that it works is you have armor, and as you fight, your armor gets chipped away, but at the same time, you have your own abilities that are growing in power as time goes on. So I think that's an interesting dynamic to make the combat exciting. You know, you also become weaker at the same time as you're growing stronger as the fight continues. The other thing they're really emphasizing here is choice. There are a lot of choices to be made as a group, as you play. Every time you do something, you want to decide you want to kill somebody or spare their life or what have you. And depending on what you choose, there will be a lot of different branching paths and missions. And supposedly, I think they said like 300 plus hours campaign, something ridiculous and monstrous. And of course, there's a million miniatures involved too. You saw the video, but the theme, it's kind of like a dark fantasy sort of world. There's vampires, there's magic, there's other stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's another one of these big games. I thought it was worth mentioning because it did look fairly well developed, but I also am a little bit concerned. It's a somewhat newer developer, and it also seems very, very ambitious. And a lot of times when I see especially things like, oh, there's like a million choices you can make, sometimes I worry they maybe won't be able to deliver on that promise. But the funding seems to indicate people are in for it.
I mean, in this kind of project, I'm only worried if, one, the quality looks well, which you can tell by the video and the like how the product looks, so you can make sure like, okay, they put their time into this.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger issue, which isn't their fault per se, but that would be like, I already have Gloomhaven or Midara or any of those. In fact, if you have more than one, I don't know how you're going to fit a third one in. Especially
Right.
even if you do have those and finished it, you know Frosthaven is coming. And I'm sure a lot of people are saving up ready to hit that. So that's really their biggest threat. It really isn't themselves, but it's can they survive the avalanche that's coming.
It's a crowded field, definitely.
The other thing, when you said the armor, is that like just your health, or do you have health underneath your armor?
I believe you have health underneath the armor. Yeah, it's like a separate system, which, so, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I'm like, if it's just the armor chip, I'm like, then that's your health.
You're dead.
But I was just curious if...
Yeah. So you can take a look for yourself. You can take a look at a preview of some of the rulebook and the campaign stuff on the page. It's $149. That's just for that base. Of course, there's extra stuff too. Again, a lot of minis and everything that goes into one of these games.
The Affinia Dungeon from Yarrow Studios isn't technically infinite, but it will feel like it. The idea behind this is they're making playmats for dungeons that are 20 feet by 16 inches. That may sound really long, but they're going to help you with that to fit on the table by adding 2 scrolls on the end. So in essence, what you're going to be doing is scrolling through your dungeon, giving that sort of fog of war effect, and also really helps with the discovery aspect. They said in addition, it's pretty simple. You can actually write on the boards. So if you need to add a wall or door or something, you can. Or you can, if you have a board, or I believe that a previous Kickstarter of a book of dungeon mats, you can put that next to the dungeon if you want to have them have a sort of a side shoot. Of course, you don't have to use the entire thing. You can just scroll to the part that you need. But the idea of this huge mat that you can sort of just scroll along sounds really cool. And the one thing I thought would be hilarious to do, especially if you have maybe a bit of a slower party, would be to actually sort of scroll it very slowly as the game's going on, so they have to actually be a bit quick, a bit more like a side scroller.
The walls are closing in on them?
Yeah.
I assume that there's a variety of different aesthetics
there
included in this?
5, I think, as of now confirmed. Like, one was like a classic dungeon, one was like a volcano mountain, one was a jungle. I think one was just your classic white grid.
I was going to say they should do that. Yeah, that's
and I think there was a 6th one that was in the works, kind of depending on how well they do. But I mean, the idea of this scrolling seems very nice to just be able to move it along, and that way you could have a huge dungeon without needing a huge table.
Yeah, that's a plus.
And this isn't, as I said, their first Kickstarter. They did another one that was successful, so they seem to know what to do about dungeon layouts.
That's good.
One scroll costs you $49. Of course, you can get more to fit whatever you need. In fact, they even said like you could take 2 scrolls and have them crisscross at certain points so they could decide to go left or right or something weird like that.
Oh. Looney Labs is bringing us some new entries in their line of pyramid games. A little while ago, they came out with a big box that had all kinds of different crazy colored pyramids in it and a variety of different rule sets for different games you could play with those. This is Pyramid Quartet, a brand new campaign project that has 4 brand new standalone pyramid games in smaller boxes that you could also use as expansions for that original game. So there's some cool new ideas in this one. One of them is about trying to get rid of all of your pyramids first. One of them actually comes with 2 different games in the box. There's one called Martian Chess, in which the pyramids are actually metallic looking rather than transparent, and that's, a strategic chess style game. The one that I think is maybe the most interesting is called Homeworlds, and that's a 4X game using just these little pyramids and all open information on the field, but supposedly it has a ton of depth to it, and the designer has a thing where he gives medals to people if they can beat him in it. So if you see him at a convention, maybe give that a shot. So I really like the concept of the original Pyramids game they put out. I think it feels like kind of this fun retro throwback to have all these different pieces that are interchangeable for different games. And so this seems like a cool, maybe a way to dip your toes into it, to try just the smaller box out. Or if you already have it, then you can actually expand some of those older games because some of them actually require more pieces to add.
I was going to ask about that. I mean, obviously the metal pyramids, I don't think they had that.
That's a new thing, yeah.
But if you had the base set, I guess I'd call it.
Yeah, sure.
Could you play these games just with a rule set?
Yeah, I'm not I think for some of them you maybe could. For some of them, maybe it doesn't come with quite enough pyramids. So I think this would add the extra ones because there are different kinds.
You're right, of course.
But you can take a look. They have all the full details on the page. It'll tell you exactly which games it will help expand, etc. It goes $20 for each set, so you can check out which games you want to purchase.
Talon Strike Studios brings us Public Market, a game about public fishing. In this game, you having 2 sort of major actions. First, bidding on fish in the marketplace to add to your ice box, in essence, sort of a tableau that you have to actually fit the fish together Tetris style. Afterwards, you're then going to have the decision to either sell to the marketplace or maybe use the fishing boat to gather bigger fish pieces, which are actually going to be a combination of multiple fish, a much more confusing piece to combine to your ice chest. You will then, of course, have different goals. You could have personal, private goals of to sell certain kinds of fish. There's public requests out there. It's all about trying to gather all these different fish pieces, fit them as efficiently as possible in your ice box before the bag of fish empties out, in which you have a few more rounds to collect some more fish. And this one's more about the mass market idea of trying to fit as many fish into your ice chest, which I actually really like. It's clever that there isn't just the ones in the market are simple, just like one Tetris piece of a salmon or something in different lengths, but the bigger ones you get from the ocean are much weirder shapes. So it's going to be a bit more complicated, which I like in terms of fitting everything in.
It sounds like a fun kind of a puzzle style game. Also worth noting, I noticed that this has the artwork of Beth Sobel, who did Wingspan. So if you liked how she drew birds, check out how she draws fish.
The game goes for $39, so if you're interested in some fun fish puzzling and maybe some beautiful artwork as well, check out the Public Market.
Next up, here is a book called Board Game Photos, and it includes just that. Photos of different board games and board game components in cool different setups. Hopefully you're seeing in the video some of those pictures and how they turn out, because I think they're a lot more interesting than that may sound. There are some very elaborate setups with some really cool uses of lighting and the way that there are different props and actual people involved sometimes to highlight some of these games. For example, like there's one of Mysterium where, there's someone with a sheet over their head behind the screen as the ghost. Just interesting, cool things like that that highlight how cool some of these games look. And alongside those photos, the book will include some little blurbs and essays about how the games play, things like that, which is always appreciated. I think the most interesting part about this project to me, honestly, was seeing the behind the scenes. I like seeing they show some of the setups of how they actually take the photos that are very cool. And the project itself is to fund a series of more photo shoots to really flesh this book out. Yeah, it seems like a cool idea. It goes for $17 for a PDF version, $43 for softcover. It seems kind of like this is the kind of book you want as a coffee table book. I don't know, like a physical thing rather than just on your computer, but that's up to you.
We're reaching the end of February, and what I can only assume is the end of Zine Quest 2. So we've got a few more zines for you. The first one is a wizard, and the idea behind this one is a wizard has sort of caused trouble in the village. and you're gonna have to go to his tower and try to deal with him. The tower has automatic opening doors, which you can make a dexterity check to see if you not open. They make a weird, squishy organic sound. There are vents around this tower in which the wizard can quickly travel around, and you'll see a white slime residue if you recently used a vent. And if you are alone in the room with the wizard, he will charge you and kill you.
Wait, is this Alien? This is like scarier wizard than I imagined.
Yeah. I don't think this is a wizard, as they sort of imply.
Unsettling.
So definitely check that out. It's interesting. The next two actually are using the same system as Trophy, one of your picks from a while ago. Apparently it's a really good system because I know you also picked a zine a while back that used this system.
Yeah, what's that about?
The first one is Climb the Witch's Tower. This is all about you as a group are trying to find this witch, but you have different reasons. One of them is obviously the sort of witch hunter trying to kill it for the greater good. One wants to make a deal with the witch to make an heir. Another one just wants all the stuff the witch has. Another one is a wizard who wants the witch's power. And the final one is a lover. So this is going to be one of those games when you're all trying to get to the same endpoint, but what you do there is going to be the issue. And then the other one is Tropheum. I'm probably mispronouncing that. But this one is sort of it has multiple different stories, but they're all these Roman and also like, I think Celtic kind of stories that are like you trying to find out these different endpoints, trying to survive in the world with. And they sort of hint at it's supposed to not end well, like the Candles RPG we have. So dark but interesting ideas. I mean, the Wizard Woman sounds dark but hilarious, almost Rick and Morty-ish, I guess, honestly, if you read it. You check out these zines. Like I said, most of them are like $5 for a PDF with $10 for a book. Definitely cool, original ideas.
Yeah, let us know. Are you taking a look at any of these zines? Get them before the Zine Quest is over, although I'm sure you'll be able to find a lot of them on DriveThruRPG or on the developers' websites afterwards. Or are you going after one of these other games that we mentioned this week? Lots of interesting projects. Talk to us. I actually saw a bunch of other games that I thought looked kind of cool, so I'm sure there's something that we might have missed that you guys, that caught your eye. So let us know in those comments.
Yep, that's what they're for.
Yeah, that is what they're for. Till next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
This has been Roll for Crits Kickstarter, Pickstarter.
We want you to like and subscribe, and if you have the chance, take a look at our Patreon.
Stay tuned to our channel for tons more tabletop gaming content. You don't want to miss it.